Welcome to One Mind Zen. Tonight's Dharma talk is given by Maitri.
Tonight, I want to speak about equanimity, the ability to remain steady and open-hearted in the face of turmoil. In recent days, over the past week, we've witnessed unrest in Los Angeles, a city grappling with deep divisions and suffering. I lived in the LA area for over a dozen years, so it hits home to me. But we've also seen a lot of protest in New York, Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, big cities across America, and they all represent suffering, suffering on different levels. Regardless of what side of the political fence your legs hang on, it is natural to feel sadness, anger, or even helplessness. But in Zen, we're invited to meet these emotions with awareness and balance. Equanimity is not cold detachment, nor is it passive resignation. It is the deep, abiding steadiness that allows us to meet life as it really is, without being swept away by fear or desire. The Buddha taught that equanimity is one of the four immeasurables, which I've spoken about before, alongside loving kindness, compassion, and joy. It is the foundation that allows us to love without attachment, to act without grasping, and to witness suffering without being consumed by it. Thich Nhat Hanh offers some profound insight into this practice in his poem, Please Call Me by My True Names. And one line from that, he writes, "Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and my laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one." This is the essence of equanimity, seeing the full picture, holding both joy and sorrow without clinging to either. It asks us to look deeply into suffering, to recognize that we are not separate from those who suffer. We are, in truth, all interconnected, as Thich Nhat Hanh would say. Robert reminded us a few weeks ago of Hakuin's koan, that Hakuin, the great Rinzai master, he shared like this: "You can hear the sound of two hands clapping. Now what is the sound of one hand?" And Robert correctly pointed out to us, it's not the sound of one hand clapping, it's what is the sound of one hand. So I'm going to phrase it a little bit different way to you. What is the sound of equanimity? It is neither grasping or rejecting. It's the space between opposites, the place where all dualities dissolve. To listen for the sound of one hand is to listen beyond gain and loss, praise and blame, joy and sorrow. It is to hear the silence beneath chaos. Equanimity does not mean that we no longer feel. It means that we hear the suffering of the world without being overtaken by it. Just like Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, look deeply. Every second I am arriving. To be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest. Equanimity is seeing that all things, joy, sorrow, suffering, and awakening, exist together in one moment. Dogen, the great founder of Soto Zen, reminds us in his writing Shobogenzo, although the Dharma might seem as if it were somewhere else far away, it is the time right now. There is no future moment when equanimity will be fully realized. There is only this moment. When we sit in meditation, we do not practice for later, for 10 years down the road, for 5 years down the road, for what may happen tomorrow. We practice for now. Equanimity is not something we attain. It is the way we meet this breath, this thought, this experience. The Buddha spoke of equanimity as the ability to remain unmoved by the 8 worldly winds: loss and gain, good repute and ill repute, praise and censure, sorrow and happiness. These arise for all beings. The wise remain steady, like a rock unshaken by the wind. In troubled times such as these, as we see in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, etc., we may be tempted to grasp onto certainty or react with emotion. But the wise remain as a rock, not because they ignore suffering, but because they know suffering comes and goes. Just a week or two ago, Unsan talked to us about impermanence. Equanimity is understanding impermanence. The protests, the anger, the sorrow, these too will pass, just as joy and peace will pass. Equanimity allows us to walk through the world with presence, neither clinging nor rejecting. That's equanimity, not clinging and not rejecting. Equanimity does not mean disengagement. It means responding with clarity rather than reactivity, that proverbial knee-jerk reaction. When we see suffering, we do not turn away. We meet it with compassion. When we do so from a place of steadiness, not panic. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Peace is contagious." When we embody equanimity, we become a refuge for others. In our presence, they too can find stillness. In a moment, we're going to sit together again, another 15 minutes of meditation. Perhaps you'll want to think about one of these themes that I've talked about tonight. What is the sound of one hand? How does equanimity manifest in our lives when we are neither grasping or rejecting? How does being time inform our practice? How can we embrace equanimity not as something to achieve, but as something to embody in each moment? And finally, how do we meet suffering without being consumed by it? What does compassionate action look like when grounded in equanimity? The world may be turbulent, but within each of us is a stillness that cannot be shaken. Let us return to it in our meditation, in our chanting, in our daily practice, understanding the moment just as it is. Thank you.